Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing this thing, which is the ZHIYUN Crane Plus camera stabilizer for DSLR cameras. Now this thing can take up to 2.5 kilograms and it has different features which we'll go into. So let's see what you get inside this box here. We have this little thing here, which is a nice packaged case which contains all the stuff in here that you need for the setup of this camera stabilizer. Let's open the box and see what it's got inside of it.
So inside of the box we've got this little bit of kit here. So let's go through it. First thing we've got is the instruction booklet, which is in there. We'll go through that later. And we've got a anti-slip grip tape, and we've got the handle at the bottom, which is where the batteries go. We have got some cables, USB. We've got the actual stabilizer there. It's all aluminium or aluminum, depending which part of the world you come from. We've got some screws here to mount the camera. That screws into the bottom of the camera. We've got a cushion thing that's got some foam on there. Not quite sure what that is, but it's there anyway. That's made of metal. And you've got this, which is the tripod. It's also metallic, so that's good. We have got over here, that's the point where the camera gets mounted to. And that there is where these things screw into there. And that loosens and tightens this, and that bracket moves there, so you can move your camera back and forth. Underneath here, can I take this out? Underneath this system. Come on, there we go. We have got this section here, which has the batteries and the battery charger. So that's what you get inside of the box. Let's set it up.
Okay, so what we're going to be using today for this is this DSLR camera. So this is a Canon 750, and we're going to be using this lens here, which is a Tamron 18 to 200mm lens. So I'm going to attach the Tamron lens to the camera. Just do that. Okay, so there we go. That's the camera we're going to be using. Now this is quite a chunky lens. It's very heavy compared to the standard ones that you get from Canon. So this will be a good test. And let's get the stabilizer set up. So the first thing is I've unboxed everything from the case you get. So we've got the stabilizer there. We need to get the batteries. Oops, move that out of the way. Move this out of the way. Let's get the batteries, which are here. We put the batteries in there, and we screw the batteries to screw this bottom section to the control unit. Now you see there that there are some controllers. We've got like a joystick in the middle, we've got modes, and we've also got a power on button and a take photograph button. Depending if you've got a Sony or a Panasonic. So if you've got a Sony or Panasonic camera, you can actually utilize these functions here, but I'm using a Canon one, so I can't really use that. And you connect it via a USB cable there, and you have an app you install on your Sony or your Panasonic. Sorry, install on your phone to control your Sony or Panasonic camera. First thing we need to do is we need to screw this to the tripod. Okay, that's all good. So we have a relatively stable, it's probably not the best to put it on, but let's try it out anyway. So we've got all this connected. Now you'll notice that this is just wobbly and it is not set up at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to set this up. So first thing we need to do is we need to take this from the box, and we need to put our camera, or mount our camera on this thing here, and what we do, we put it on this plate, we can move the camera backwards and forwards. We need to move the camera as centre to the stabiliser as possible. So first things first, let's screw this on. I've actually turned the gimbal mounting plate round so it's mounted on the other side now. So now we can move the plate forward or backwards. So let's move it forward. No, that's too much. Let's move it backwards. No. What I'm trying to do is make sure that the front of the camera doesn't lean forward or backwards, so we'll just hold this in position there. Okay, we've got a level field there. That's great. So that's that axis. You can see that's nice and steady there. So what we'll do is we'll tighten the bracket up at the bottom. Okay, so that will not move forward or backwards. What we need to do then is we need to tighten this up here to make sure that this angle here does not move. So what we'll do is we'll hold that one there, and at the moment the camera's going that way, falling to the left. Now what we can do is we can undo this here and we can move the camera that way. Let's tighten it back up. Let's try that again. But it's still moving to the left. So what we do is we undo this one and we push it to the right a little bit. That's still going to the left. Okay. Let's tighten that up. Okay, I think we're good. Excellent. Right, so the gimbal is in the position to turn on. There we go. So automatically moves into position, and now we can pick it up. Okay, so it's pointing that way. There we go. So it's nice and stable at the moment. In this mode, I can turn it around and the camera will follow. So let's just get it into view here. And it turns around with me, all the time maintaining a stable position. And we can also rotate it so we can stand up. Okay, so this is the camera while I'm standing up, so you can take footage which is low down. Again, we can turn the camera so it follows us round, depending on where we're walking. So this is based on the modes that we have configured on the gimbal, and there are a total of 4 modes, I believe. So let's go into those modes now and have a look to see how they differ and what they do on the gimbal. Okay, so the mode that you get when you power the gimbal up is pan follow mode. So that means you can use the joystick on the back to go up and down, like so. You rotate the gimbal arm, the stabilizer arm here, and when you do that, the camera moves with you. Just demonstrate that now. So it won't stay in one position, so the camera actually does move with you. What you cannot do in pan follow mode, you can't use the joystick to go left and right. It will only go up and it will only go down. So that is pan follow mode, and that's also the case if you've got it vertically mounted and you're walking with it. Same applies. You can hold the joystick because it's upside down. Up is down and down is up, but you move it down because that's the way you're facing, and that actually moves up. So this is just reversed. So again, that's pan follow mode. So the next mode we've got is locking mode is the next one. So let's look at the way that we change the mode is to press the mode button here. You can see mode, so we just press mode once and that changes the mode of the stabilizer. So locking mode, what this does is it locks the position of the camera so it's looking in the same area all the time, and you use the joystick to control the movement. So here we can see if I pick this up, it's always going to face away from me. If I try and twist this at the bottom, you'll see it is not moving at all. If I try and rotate it up, it stays in the same position. If I try and do it that way, it will stay in the same position. So it always stays in the same position. The way that you control the movement is by pressing the joystick. This will move left and right. It will also pan up and pan down, or tilt rather. So you use the joystick to control the movements there. You cannot use the handle of the stabilizer to move it. Again, it's the same. If you reverse it, you have to swap right and left, left and right, but it's easier to understand if you're holding it down and you're using it like in a reverse vertical mode. So that is locking mode. Now the next function is the best one, I think, for gimmicks. So this one is POV mode. Okay, it doesn't seem like this is the POV mode. So setting it into follow mode, which is what this is in, and then setting this into locking mode, that's locking mode. Going into POV mode doesn't seem to do what it's supposed to do in the instruction manual. The final mode which we've got is follow mode, and this is follow mode. So I press it twice, and then what it does is it goes and does that. So it basically rotates to an angle of 45 degrees both ways, but it doesn't do a full 360, but you can still use that to do different recordings. So we'll switch it back to follow mode now, and it's back to normal. Press it twice and we're back to what I think should be POV mode, but in this it says follow mode. I think this is the instructions don't match up to what the camera is actually doing. So this is what I think should be POV mode, so we can rotate this and the camera follows us, and we can tilt it that way on the joystick and it rotates like that. Okay, so we'll put it back into follow mode. Okay, so the thoughts about this gimbal. Yeah, this is a good starting point for somebody who's looking for a stabilizer or gimbal, and it does most things that people want it to do. So you can see it's nice and stable, and it keeps the camera in the location where it's supposed to be pointing. However, the modes which I've got there in the instruction do not actually reference what this stabilizer is doing. So it says in the book we've got 4 modes, but really I can only see 3 modes on here. Now that's not a bad thing, because I think 9 times out of 10 I'll probably only be using 1 mode anyway, unless I want to do the 45-degree tilt. But that's one thing to pick up. The second thing to pick up, which is going to be a pain in the neck for somebody who's outside mobile, switching between different positions, is this. Let me just show you. Now, we are in this position here and everything's good. We're in this position there and everything's good. But if I want to switch from this position to without pressing mode, if I want to switch it from this position to this position here, it is not easy to do unless you keep this still here. So I'm going to keep this section still, I'm going to move it, and then it has moved. That's fine. Gimbal stays there. I'm going to move it again, and you'll see automatically the gimbal wants to move, or the stabilizer wants to move. So now it's there. Now the only thing, and then when you try and move it, it just it's got a mind of its own here. You see? So that is a problem, I think, with this stabilizer. I don't think it is kind of moving from this angle to this angle can only be done by holding it, and you'll notice that the angle of the camera when we've moved it actually changes as well. So we can just basically hold this position here, move it up like that, and that's it, it stays there. Again, hold this position here, make sure it doesn't move it down like that. That's the only problem I see with this stabilizer. Apart from that, the footage you get is quite good. I will have a look at some of the footage. I recorded some footage going up and down the garden, and you can see that is very stable. There's no problem really in terms of the stability of this, providing you're keeping it in the same position. It doesn't have anything such as sport mode on here, but you know, if this probably won't be designed for sport mode. You'd probably have to upgrade to something like a DJI Ronin, which is about 3 times the cost of this. So if you're looking at getting started with a camera stabilizer, you haven't got one, you just want to do some casual amateur recordings, then I think this is going to be ideal for you. If you want to start branching out and you want to start looking at fast action recordings, you want to do switching, say if you're doing if you're on walking trails, you want to quickly move this from this position to the vertical position, and you haven't got both your hands for it, I think that's going to be a bit of a problem as well. The stabilizer can take up to 2.5 kilograms. It has this camera compatibility mode, which is what I mentioned about the Sony and the Panasonic cameras, and it's got this FPV mode. Yeah, I don't know whether FPV mode actually works or not, but anyway, and it's got this unlimited 360 degree rotation. Yes, that is correct, but you know, you've got this issue where, I mean, you'll see there the gimbal, I'm trying to not get it to go in that direction, but just holding it there, I can't seem to keep it level. It's almost like you've got to go, see, it's going on the front of the camera. It's got some good features, but if you've already got a stabilizer and you're looking at something else, the Crane Plus probably won't do what you want it to do in terms of an upgrade. That said, at £229, whereas others are above £600 to £700, it is a bargain price. I got it for a decent price, and I think because this is my first stabilizer, it is actually quite good for what I need. If you're a professional photographer or you take professional video, I think you should be looking at something else. So there you go. That is the ZHIYUN Crane Plus camera stabilizer, and I hope this review was very useful to you. Maybe it's helped you make some decisions about what you want to buy. But thank you for watching, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions, leave me a comment. But in the meantime, take it easy, guys. I'll see you on the next video.